and welcome to another A-Level Economics video with me, Mr Goff, from mrgoff.com. This video will focus on price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand, or PED for short, is a measure of the responsiveness of demand to a change in price. It is measured by the formula price elasticity of demand equals the percentage change in demand divided by the percentage change in price. Because the change in demand will be in the opposite direction as the change in price, PED is technically negative, but we standardly ignore the minus sign when describing it. There are 5 key types of price elasticity of demand to be aware of: perfectly elastic demand, inelastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, and unitary elastic demand. We'll take a look at each of these in more detail now. For demand to be elastic, it means the percentage change in demand will be greater than the percentage change in price. Therefore, PED is greater than 1. If demand is elastic, lowering the price will result in greater revenue, but raising the price will decrease revenue. Let's look at this with an example of a product with a PED of 2. Initially, we're selling 1,000 of our product for £1 each for a total revenue of £1,000. A 10% increase in price leads to a 20% drop in quantity demanded when we have a PED of 2. So now we have £1.10 as the price and 800 demanded. You can see that revenue falls from 1,000 to 880. If, on the other hand, we decrease the price by 10%, this leads to a 20% rise in quantity demanded. We can see that at a price of 90 pence, 1,200 will be demanded. Here we can see that our revenue has increased from 1,000 to 1,080 by decreasing our price. Perfectly elastic demand describes a situation where any quantity of a product may be bought at a given price, but only at that price. This is not a very realistic situation, but a similar scenario does occur when people use a price comparison site. If you've compared prices for, say, a flight, and you found the seat that you want on the flight that you want to travel on, you're only going to book with the cheapest of the offers that are there. For demand to be inelastic, it means the percentage change in demand will be smaller than the percentage change in price. Therefore, PED will be between 0 and 1. If demand is inelastic, lowering the price will result in lower revenue, but raising the price will increase revenue. Let's consider a product with a PED of 0.5. Our product starts off selling 1,000 at a price of £1 for a revenue of £1,000. A 10% increase in price leads to a 5% drop in quantity demanded. So at a price of £1.10, 950 will be demanded for a total revenue of £1,045, an increase on our original revenue. If, on the other hand, we had a 10% decrease in price, this leads to a 5% rise in quantity demanded. At a price of 90 pence, we would have 1,050 demanded. This would give us a total revenue of £945, less than what we were originally getting. So if demand is inelastic for your product, the best thing to do is raise the price. Perfectly inelastic demand describes a situation where the same quantity of a product may be bought at any price. This is also not a very realistic situation, but a similar situation might occur where people are paying for a life-saving medicine. They may be prepared to pay any amount to get their hands on it. Unitary elastic demand is where the percentage change in price will exactly match the percentage change in quantity demanded. This unlikely scenario is the target for firms because, as we will see in a moment, It is where profit is maximised. Elasticity changes along a straight line demand curve. Revenue is maximised when PED is 1. If we have a look at the revenue graph below that translates from our straight line demand curve, you can see that at the extremes we have a situation where the price is so high that the quantity demanded is nothing, and so revenue is 0, or a situation where we're producing and giving away a lot of product, but the price that we're selling it for is 0, so once again we're getting a revenue of 0. As you move towards a PED of 1 by either reducing the price of an elastic product or increasing the price of an inelastic product, you can make a greater amount of total revenue. There are a number of factors that affect a product's price elasticity of demand, including substitutes, the type of product it is, the price of a product, and time. Let's take a closer look at each of these. Substitutes are products that someone might consume as an alternative to a product. Goods with a lot of substitutes tend to have a higher elasticity of demand. This is because someone could easily swap and buy the other product if they raise their price. How closely a product is defined also affects its elasticity. For instance, we all need food, but if we define our food more closely into separate categories, we don't all need pizza, so pizza would be more elastic than food. Some companies manage to instill a level of brand loyalty that means their customers don't see rival products as true substitutes. Necessities tend to be more price inelastic than luxuries. If the price of fuel increases, most journeys are for practical reasons and so will still take place, and there will only be a small effect on demand. However, if you go to the shops and your favourite chocolate biscuits have gone up in price, you may decide not to buy them or to switch to another cheaper product. Addictive goods, such as tobacco and alcohol, are inelastic. The high taxes the government levies on these products causing high prices does little to dissuade demand. However, it does raise a lot of money to combat the diseases caused by these products. Products that are needed urgently are more inelastic. If you break down on the motorway, you can't sit around haggling on the phone for different tow truck companies to come and collect you. In addition, this helps to explain why last-minute bookings can be so expensive. The more uses a product has, the more inelastic it will be. This is because if demand for it in one market goes down, then demand for it in one of the other markets for which it is a useful product may well go up. The price of a product can also affect its elasticity. Consumers are more likely to shop around for the best price when buying more expensive items, making these more price elastic. This makes sense when we consider an example of a 10% discount on a £1,000 television representing £100, whereas 10% discount on a £1 loaf of bread represents 10p. One of them makes it far more reasonable than the other to go to the trouble of shopping around. This shows why we have such successful sales on Black Friday, where consumers are more willing to part with their money because of the discounted products on big ticket items. Time can also be a factor in a product's elasticity. Petrol may be inelastic in the short term, as we discussed earlier, because people still need to take most of those journeys. But in the long run, the rising cost of petrol has led to a push for more fuel-efficient cars and cars with alternate power sources, in the long term, making demand more elastic. That brings us to the end of this video on price elasticity of demand. Join me again soon when I'll be looking at income elasticity of demand and cross elasticity of demand. Use the resources at mrgoff.com to help you revise economics, and until next time, it's bye for now.